Bailey, how are you this morning?
I am good, John. How are you?
So good, so good. So how can I help this morning?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. So me and my husband moved back to our hometown after an unplanned pregnancy in 2017 to live closer to family for help.
Okay.
But my question is deciding whether we should live in our hometown for the rest of our life and raise our family, or maybe actually move again to get a little space from family.
So my guess is you're asking that because you want to get a little space from family.
Yeah, I mean, I love them and appreciate them, but both of our parents are divorced, so we have 4 sets of grandparents, and now we're in very close proximity to 3 of them, and it just gets to be overwhelming. And I love them, so when I say this, I don't want to sound negative, but we don't want the life our parents had. I don't know how to say that without... they're not bad people. We have different values for our marriage, and sometimes I don't know if it's the healthiest to live around them.
Hey, Bailey, can I stop you there for a second?
Yes, go ahead.
Don't apologize for that. You know what that makes you? That makes you an absolute gangster. One of the therapy researchers who I love, Terrence Real, says that family trauma burns through a family tree like a forest fire until somebody has the courage to turn and face it. And that's what you and your husband are doing. And so what you are doing is generational work. It is legacy work. You are literally making your family tree different because of the hard choices you're making. So never, don't beat yourself up for wanting a different life than what your parents had.
Yeah.
Cool?
Thank you. Yeah, it's just, we do stuff differently. We're the weird ones.
Yep.
We do Dave Ramsey. We stop drinking. Our hometown is a very blue-collar town. It's a lot of drinking. Everyone knows everyone, but there's a lot of great things that have come from it. Like, me and my dad have got better in our relationship. It's cheaper living, so it's just we pro and con this decision back and forth, and till we're blue in the face, and we just can't decide if we're holding our family back and our marriage back, or are we over-dramatizing living in our hometown. It's not like the worst place in the world, but I don't know. It's just a constant conversation in our marriage.
You are living on the poles, right? And so I want to give you some peace about the middle. You could move for a couple of years and try it out, and it's going to be no worse for wear. You've made your decision in either or, and life is just too twisty and wacky and weird for anything to really ever be either or. And so a couple of things to think through. Wherever y'all move, you two will go with you. And so if your marriage has wonky things that y'all need to work through, if y'all got relational conflicts, if your sex life isn't what you thought it was going to be, if you don't like how he deals with kids' homework or whatever, those same things are going to travel with you.
Right.
So will all the free babysitting. That will go away, right? The other side of it is, if you have a very clear path of where you want to go, you say that you want different lives, you want to have a different family tree, you love your family, you love them deeply, I can hear it, and yet you want something more, you want something different. Both of those things can be true at the same time, and both of those things can be just and right at the same time. That's all good. What I want you to do is be really explicit about what you want to be different, because you're going to chase a feeling, and that feeling will never show up for you. You're going to assume after we've been married for 15 years and we're not drinking anymore and we're out of debt that suddenly everything's going to materialize, and it doesn't work like that. You have to be able to know, I want both a beach vacation, and I need to understand that when I get to the beach, I'm still going to get sunburned and I'm still going to get itchy from dirt, right? Those two things are both true. And most people have destinations and dreams, but they end up being just feelings of what's going to be like when I get on top of the pyramids in Egypt. It's going to be hot, right? It's going to be hot and you're going to be tired. It's going to be when you get down and reflect on the journey and what we did, right? So you got to know why you're moving. What specifically, what's that picture of our life we're going to look like? And then live into that. And then if you got to move, move. You got to move. I left a few years ago, left Texas, left everything I know, every friend I had. Every family member of mine lives in Texas. Everybody's there. And we left. And my relationship with my family is still super close. I don't see them as much anymore. We talk probably more often now. And I've made new great community here. And my family visits me, and it's wonderful and good.
Right.
Do I miss stuff? Yeah, of course I do. And I've also found parts of me that I never knew existed, which have been great.
Yeah,
So
sometimes I just feel guilty too, like our kids getting to experience our grandparents, but then I think I have a good idea of why we want to be different and what that means. It's just a constant, and we both had traumatic childhoods, and now we're living in the hometown where all that trauma happened, and I had a tragic incident happen in high school, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm re-swimming in all of the emotions all the time.
So let me help. You 100% are. 100% are. And there's a good and a bad to that. The bad is moving. You're still going to have those experiences unless you go deal directly head on with that trauma. Unless you get a good trauma counselor and you work through that. The good part is, some of that trauma is geographically located. When you drive down that same street and you go past that same house and you run into that same dude or that same woman in the grocery store, you're just not going to do that, right? If you live in Arkansas.
Right.
It's not going to be there. But that clock, that scanner that's still trying to keep you safe in the back of your heart and mind, it's still going to be running full blast until you do the hard work of dealing with those childhood traumas. So running from it, moving away isn't going to solve that, but it can definitely let the alarms down a little bit so you can do that healing work. I think the main thing I want you to do, Bailey, is to not live in either ors. Live in next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And if you move away and you want your kids to be involved in your grandparents' life, keep them involved in your grandparents' life. Instead of seeing them every single week, you're going to see once every 3 months for a week at a time, right? The time will be batched and it will be grouped together. And about day 4, you'll realize, this is why we moved. And then you'll leave and everybody will be good, right?
Yeah.
And then if you move away and it just sucks, move back, right?
Right. I didn't know if I was always hoping I just didn't want to move my kids once they were established. When they were a little older, we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Hey, they're not established at all. They're 3 and 1. They don't even know what day it is. Okay. They don't even know. I think I've told this story on the podcast, but my wife, she still is. She's a brilliant scholar. She was hired to come work at a school just outside of Sao Paulo, Brazil. I took my son with me. I was just a trailer, right? I went and my son and I had 2 weeks of just glorious time together. I mean, picking fruit off of a tree, avocados off trees, like on the street, right? Toucans landing. It was unbelievable. It was like Fantasy Island. And he literally has absolutely no memory of that whatsoever. It doesn't even exist. And I thought we were doing all these great bonding moments. And when we're old, dude, he doesn't remember any of that. And he was 2, 3, 4, somewhere around there. So all that to tell you is they are going to be established when you and your husband love each other deeply. Y'all are anchored in together. Kids are resilient. Okay. They will be good to go with you.
Okay.
And so it's you guys being together relationally, making a concrete decision. Let's go do this. Let's just go move. Here's the deal. I can hear your voice. You've already moved in your heart. You just need permission to go. So here's your permission. Go. Right? And be prepared. One of those grandparents may pass away as soon as you move. That happened to us. One of those grandparents may get really angry with you. One of those grandparents may get super, super jealous and wish they had gone to. Any number of things can happen, and any number of those things that happen doesn't make your move wrong, doesn't make your fresh start wrong. I just want you and your husband to be really clear, super crystal clear as to why you're going and where you're headed. What's your relationship going to look like? What are your values going to look like? What are you going to do, whether that's going to a marriage therapist, getting a community together, a good group of friends? What's that going to look like that's going to get you to those values? That's going to get you to that new family tree that y'all are planting and you're nourishing. And good for you guys. Good for you. That's so cool. All right. Bailey, you just made my whole day.